So I know it's been a minute since I've posted a Genshin Impact video, and I was going to save my next one for after the special program since I had waited so long to do so, but I think I'm just going to end up making that its own separate video for things to talk about and things to look forward to, because I made a bit of a huge mistake in regards to Genshin Impact. So it's probably not as big of a deal as I'm probably making it out to be, but I do think it is a pretty big hit to probably a little bit of my enjoyment to the game. I mean, probably still a bit of an overstatement, but basically, you know, a few days ago, I had started going through my computer, trying to clean out some of the space that it's going through in terms of having a lot of things being taken up. And I looked at my Genshin game on PC, and I realized that I hadn't played it in over a year. I'd always kept it installed just in case I ever needed to, for whatever reason, if the console version just stopped working for me, or if I ever installed the console version for whatever reason. I primarily play on PlayStation now, ever since I upgraded to the PlayStation 5, and haven't touched the PC version, so just in a bit of a hasteful manner, not like purposefully in any hurry, but without really thinking, I just went ahead and deleted the game, not really thinking about some of the implications that kind of came along with. So, long story short, well, from the beginning, I suppose, starting, I want to say around the release of Fontaine, I started taking a little bit more of a liking to wanting to save a bunch of screenshots and clips of me playing the game, either reactions or just cutscenes in general, along with just some general funny screenshots that I would take from the game, just looking pretty, gorgeous, and whatever the hell else. But the thing that I started doing was, after I had made the switch over to the PlayStation, what I would do is kind of just stockpile, I guess on a monthly basis, a bunch of screenshots and clips from my PlayStation playtime and put it all into a folder on my computer. And the folder was, you know, just a simple scrapbook kind of compiling literally everything. The one problem that I had neglected to remember or realize when I had deleted Genshin PC was my scrapbook was technically in the game file, in the game folder, where the entire thing was sat. So when I deleted the game, I deleted over 2 years worth of clips, screenshots, and small little edits from here and there, as well as a couple of things from like the browser and desktop stuff, and including things from Twitter like the Christmas cards that they gave out, or some of my Enkanomiya stat cards for characters, and all of that is gone now. And from the time of recording, that was multiple days ago, so there's quite literally no way of me getting it back at this point. And the only reason that I took notice now was because I had put the 4th anniversary picture from Twitter of all of the Archons, including Mavuika, as my desktop background. And I suppose the computer still needed to read it from somewhere. And I restarted my computer today looking at the background, wondering why it was just brown and the image wasn't there. And that's when I realized everything was just gone, sadly. Uh, it certainly sucks. I lost a great bit of just funny things, beautiful things, and especially like a lot of the cool looking screenshots that I had gotten, a lot of nice looking GIFs and things that just were meant to help chronicle my journey throughout Genshin since I had started playing. Not since I had started playing, but, you know, well into the point where I had started taking the game like fully seriously, and I did consider it like a primary game of mine that I always wanted to play. And all of that is gone now, and there's not much I can really do about it. So, not much use in kind of crying over it, but it did sting when I kind of made that realization, just realizing that all of that stuff is gone. And truth be told, I'd never really like went super in depth in like trying to keep it organized or up to date, so I don't even think like I remember most of the specific screenshots that I had in there, besides like some of the obvious ones, like a lot of the the hangout event ending images, or just a few, not all of them, but a few of CGI rendered cutscenes for the game, as well as obviously, like I mentioned, some of my stat cards from Enkanomiya and other small things like that. But it just sucks to lose all of that, man. Like I don't know. It's definitely, I'm making it a bigger deal than it really should be, but I don't know. I wasn't really taking the whole like preservation type of the game seriously, which considering the game probably will end up hitting an EOS after the arc in Conria, which I pray that they at least keep the game online for a few more years after that point, just to let people kind of play around, and maybe some very late joiners to the whole craze can catch up still, because there's going to be multiple years worth of content for them to catch up on if they do start, say, like partway during Snezhnaya. But it was a way for me to kind of chronicle and keep log of all the things that I had personally gone through. And that's part of why I started to make more videos relating to Genshin and posting it on the channel, just to kind of help chronicle a lot of my thoughts and reactions to certain things. The whole reactions thing kind of started getting a bit difficult for me to maintain, just because I wanted to play through as much as possible, and then after everything is said and done, like try to condense that all into videos. But making like easily digestible videos as well as trying to keep in all the cool stuff is kind of impossible for me, just because of the way that I have to edit and render the videos. I can only keep them at a maximum of an hour, and on top of wanting to keep everything like still intact as far as the story goes and my reactions to everything, it just was very difficult to maintain. So I'm thinking, like, disregarding the content that I had saved on my computer completely gone, I'm probably going to end up leaning more towards videos like this, where, you know, kind of segueing into the whole topic now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the 5.0 content that we got in Natlan, as well as just some of the things in regard to some of the characters, because holy moly, man, that was a really good Archon Quest, and Hoyoverse keeps on surprising me with the quality of the storytelling, that it just keeps on increasing every single time we get a new Archon Quest. And I could not stop smiling for the entire time that I was playing it. Like, even now, like, as I'm starting to kind of reminisce on the whole thing, it was really freaking cool. Running into Kachina and kind of hearing her whole story and how hard she tries to keep on going through and competing, leading to her first true success this time around, that was honestly really cool. And I think I probably still have the I think I still have the cutscene of that saved on my PlayStation, thankfully. So I don't think I ever moved it to the computer, but you know, it's just things like that, as well as Moalani just being kind of like that ray of sunshine for the region, as far as I can tell so far anyway. She's just been a blast to see, as well as to play around with. And Kinich, definitely a bit of a character in his own right. It's just, I don't know how to describe him. Like, it's just very, I suppose, matter of fact, and but also strong and also intelligent in his own way, right? It's super interesting. And then Kahula Hao, just he's like, I don't know if I had more disdain for Farina when Fontaine started, or if I have more disdain for a Hao right now. That's like the level of disgust and distaste that I have for him. But I feel like the opinions around Kuhul are going to be much more warranted, because judging from like Kenichi's character teaser, as well as from what we've got in the game so far, he just straight up wants the guy dead, which is hilarious. And I think it has to do with the fact that, like, Kahul is, like, they're kind of in a contract together. Judging from Kenichi's story quest, it's not, like, technically a contract, but you could kind of think of it as such, where likely anyway, if it's not confirmed already and I just maybe missed it, but if Kenichi ends up, like, fully dying out and can't be resurrected, Ahau gets his body or his powers or something. Like, there's something in it for him when Kenichi dies, which is kind of crazy to think. But kind of enlarging out to the Archon Quest as a whole, getting to see the Stadium of the Sacred Flame, and then later the Ode to Resurrection, that was pretty insane. Like, I don't think I kind of put two and two together when watching the special program, that the song that they had playing at the end of it was the Ode to Resurrection that Natlan sings every single time they're bringing back warriors from the Night Kingdom. But dude, that was just beautiful. And then the entire quest on just getting Kachina back as well, and that effectively leading into laying down the groundwork for Mavuika's overall plan to save the nation. That's another huge thing that I like am excited to see play out once things kind of get going in the next part of the Archon Quest, because dude, like it was so weird to kind of first hear from Kachina that like all the Pyro Archons are technically just humans with, I guess, like just a deity position. They clearly do get some sort of supernatural power level, but I don't know if it's correct to say that maybe they're weaker than the other Archons who are like full gods in their own right, because you know, Mavuika and all the Pyro Archons of the past, they have a normal human lifespan, as far as, you know, we've been told by multiple people. And, you know, Mavuika, having been the Archon from 500 years ago, ended her life early to be reborn at the time of the next foretold cataclysm for Natlan. That's pretty insane. And it's crazy how like her plan is not necessarily hinging on, but she was hopeful for the fact that the ancient name bearers of the past, when she was Archon the first time, their names would be passed on to individuals in the present, so that they could all be informed and ready to take on the crisis head on. But the whole Abyss meddling with the Night Kingdom has hindered the passage of those memories and that information, and having each and every one of them kind of have to go through their own sort of rite of passage to get all that information in their heads, like just like how we saw with Mualani. That's pretty insane. And I think I do agree with the fact that like Mavuika mentions that she could just simply tell the individuals in question, you know, easily labeled by the ancient name that they carry, that you're a part of the plan and I need your help. But throwing them into the ring kind of early, I suppose, in that kind of sense, would also, I suppose, like just, it would not allow them to reach their full potential in terms of being able to do their part for the nation. And there's a lot of stuff. I feel like, you know, it was crazy that Fontaine like had high stakes in the sense that everybody was going to be dissolved, but I don't know, I feel like the stakes in Natlan are also considerably higher now, because it's entirely possible that the Abyss just ends up engulfing this entire section of Tevat if they fail. Not that they will, I doubt that they will, but it just goes to show the level of kind of stakes and true type of, I suppose, like real sense of urgency and treachery that the entire nation is undergoing. Because with, I mean, Capitano coming into the fold as well, number one of the Harbingers, by the way, which is insane. And Mavuika, I would consider Mavuika probably the weakest of the Archons. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard toss-up, I'd say, between her and Nahida, just because Nahida is still so young. But I don't know, the Pyro Archon effectively just being a human, I mean, that's also probably stakes for being a relatively weak deity in a sense. But, you know, Child was the one that did tell us that the top 3 Harbingers have power rivaling that of gods, and by proxy the Archons, obviously. But dude, they were going at it for a little bit, and I was losing my mind because it was literally just straight up a Dragon Ball fight. I loved it. I loved watching that. That was so funny. That was so cool, as by the way, as well. And I don't know, man. It's just I wonder what everything is gonna kind of come down to, like at the end of the day, because when Mavuika was informing us about like the progress of everything, Shilanen was, I want to say, the first, if not Ian-san. Both Shilanen and Ian-san are ready to be a part of it. Kinich was also a part of it, taking up the ancient name of Malipo. And then, you know, Molani being the most recent one, with her name being Unity. And, you know, all that's left is a member from the Masters of the Nightwind and the Flowerfeather clan, which I think is interesting that Mavuika literally told Chaska to her face that she can't tell the people in question about their part in the plan. They have to find it on their own, because I don't know, like at that point Chaska, I guess, was basically asking if she is the one involved. And I don't know, that's good. It's both her and Seat Lali are going to be the weird ones, because Chaska, at the very least, knows that Mavuika knows, but she can't tell the people in question that they need to be ready. And in the case of Lali, she seemingly, as far as the Ignition teaser kind of portrayed her to be, she does not want to be a part of the things kind of relating to Natlan's survival in the Abyss and all that, because when the stadium competition in the Ignition teaser was kind of going on with that ball, she actively wanted it out of her and away from her. So, with the reputation that Lali seems to have amongst all the tribes in Natlan, I think it would be kind of crazy that she's so revered and so knowledgeable as well, that she actively wants to not take part in a lot of the battles in regards to all this. So, I think both her, I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point that the final two from both of those clans are going to be Chaska and Lali, just because they're both 5 stars, or likely to be 5 stars anyway, and the 4 characters in question are also 5 stars. So, I don't know, it'd be weird to have one or the other, if not both, be 4 stars, and them being a part of the plan, but it's still possible. But I'm assuming that both will end up being 5 stars, and I'm just curious to see how this entire thing plays out, because there's a lot of things going on, and in the case of when these events kind of unfold, I don't know if it was, I seriously think it's just me. Maybe I'm reading too far into it, or maybe I'm just missing a pattern from somewhere in the past or something, but in the 5.0 special program, the devs mentioned that the Archon Quest is going to be taking place throughout 0.0, 0.1, and 0.3, skipping over 0.2. I'm not sure if I misread that possibly, but I'm curious if and why potentially 5.2 is being skipped over, if there's any potential greater reason as to that. I don't think it's going to be involving anything having to do with Dainsleif or the Abyss at large, possibly. I don't know, we'll have to end up seeing what ends up happening after the Archon Quest in 5.1 and how the conclusion seems to be going out, but oh man, I am I'm still kind of information overloaded, on top of the fact that, I do have a part of my brain also settled on Call of Duty with the Black Ops release coming out at the end of October. So I have a lot of things going through my head, because I definitely want to play Black Ops as well, on top of trying to keep up with Genshin. And speaking of keeping up with Genshin, this will be the last thing that I'll mention for the video, but with Sheila Nen's introduction to the game, I'm going to be skipping over her. I believe I mentioned that in my first video covering 5.0, in favor of potentially whoever comes out first, Lali or Mavuika. If patterns continue to serve, Mavuika should be coming out in 5.2, and we'll be getting that confirmation as early as, I think, Monday is when the drip marketing for the next patches come out. So, dude, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind if they show both Lali and Mavuika. I'm actually going to cry, because I want them both. Those are the 2 characters that I want. And maybe in a way it'd be better for me to get them on top of each other instead of one after the other, so that when Lali's rerun comes around, I'm going to prioritize the Archon, of course, but when Lali's rerun come around, I can be ready for her. And, as far as other characters, I'm not sure who I'm going to end up wanting. If any, sort of surprise drops come out, it's entirely possible that happens, how when Yelan was just a surprise drop, I don't think she was ever teased. She might have been. I don't think she was, but she was just a drip marketing, just hot drop, no previous marketing or showcase in the Archon Quest or anything. That's an example of a character that, just drops out of nowhere, and I dropped everything to get her. So, barring any situation like that, I'm thinking possibly I'm only gonna want Mavuika and Lali out of Natlan. That's entirely a possibility, and things can just kind of keep going on from there. As far as other characters in question, obviously the Saritsa, no doubt she'll be a playable Archon as well. Having all 7, I think, is a must playable in the game. And potentially, I am kind of anticipating it, but I do think it's a relatively low chance. I'm thinking it's entirely possible the Abyss possibly gets introduced as an element that can be utilized in the future, maybe, or like just some derivative of it. Maybe Quantum gets brought into the game because, you know, Hoyoverse has rebranded to Hoyoverse, and it's entirely likely, if not likely already being put in motion, probably, that every single one of their games, as far as like the more recent ones, like Star Rail, Genshin, and ZZZ, are probably in the works of all being a part of the same universe in some way, shape, or form. And at the very least, Honkai and Genshin, I would say, are the most closely related. As much as I don't play Honkai at all in any way, shape, or form, I do think just from how Skirk looked towards the end of the Fontaine Archon Quest, I think it would be possible to see her as a playable character, and possibly the introduction of Quantum, if not like an abyssal element in general. Uh, I loathe the day that that likely happens, or if it ends up happening at all, because I'm going to be totally unprepared for it. It's going to throw like the entire wishing pattern of everybody for a loop, because we're all kind of like expecting the whole, you know, get pretty decent exploration and first-time introductory characters in the .0 for the region, as well as the Archon coming out in the .2, and then some random 4 and 5 stars that maybe aren't fully associated with the region come out later. To something like Emily coming out in, I think, literally the last patch of Fontaine. And then same thing with like Yelan and other characters as such. But we've got a lot to look forward to, and I'm excited to see what the special program has in store for us in terms of 5.1. By the time you all are watching this video, it will have already have come out, and I'll have definitely have already seen it. So be sure to be on the lookout over the next couple days. I'll likely end up making another video fairly quickly after this one, covering some of the stuff in 5.1 if there is anything substantial. If not, it'll probably be a relatively shorter video, just kind of commenting on the things that are coming. But yeah, as far as the things coming up, we've got Mavuika, the rest of the plan, and potentially a big catastrophe for the nation of Natlan. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave things there for today. I'm obviously bittersweet right now. I thoroughly enjoyed kind of reminiscing a lot about Natlan, as well as just kind of still dealing with the fact that I lost a lot of my my screenshots and video clips relating to Genshin, just because I was a little bit reckless. But yeah, like I said, we'll leave things there for today, and I'm excited. Things are going very well for the game. I'm happy about it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.